king does not knock rice.
I told you the story, hey, about like my the two JW children who came around witnessing for and interacted with me, unfortunately, or fortunately, whatever.
No, maybe.
Surely. And then their parents, and then
Perhaps
the two men in black.
I've heard it, but you need to repeat it.
So I'm living up in like the hills.
I'll pull a politician.
Country.
I'll pull a politician on this one and go. I do not recall. Really? I do not recall the conversation.
Oh my god. So yeah, so this is like a methodology, I suppose. But then, so these two younglings come around and they're like witnessing, knock knock, and I'm like, oh yeah, what do you got to say?
Practicing
like,
public oratory.
And I'm like, yeah, okay. Well, and at first I was like, oh, okay, you want to talk about that? No worries. Which I'd come in and just have a cup of tea and stuff. And they're like, oh yeah, because they're not fully trained yet, so they weren't foolish enough to enter the.
Understand the principles of stranger.
Yes. Well, I just suppose the first thing I did was just make sure that they understood that I was safe.
Yes,
basically.
And I think that's the important thing.
Yeah.
Safe
space. And then so they came on in like having a cup of tea and stuff, and I'm just listening to them talk away. And I was like, yeah, no, I totally agree. And I was like, what? Like that's a very brief version. I was like, oh, okay, oh, and I'm like, yeah, so tell me. And I'm like, yeah, no, like totally, the heaven, like, and this place and everything's unity and connected and stuff. But what I'm confused about is that that's actually where we live. We're already there. Like,
we're in the middle of it.
That's here. Like
we're right in the center of it.
Why are you scared of it? I don't understand. The thing I don't get is why your version of the God we both believe in is made you fearful of that is the thing. Yeah. And they're like, oh, I'm like, yeah, so I believe in what you believe.
It's not your God of love.
Yeah, I'm not scared of the thing. And they're just like, and they're like, I said, what happens if you're not scared of it? They're just like,
that's it.
Because they hadn't had enough deep programming yet.
Correct.
So I sent them away, like deconverted, like just enlightened, lit. Nice. Anyway, so I thought that was the end of that. And it was maybe like, whatever, I'm just going to make up a time now. It was 1 or 2 weeks. It wasn't like that long. It was a couple of weeks. And there's a knock at my door on a Saturday, whatever.
Oh, and the special investigative division.
Well, the parents come.
And elder.
No, just the parents. Well, older than them. Let's not say elder, but like that's a particular word. We'll reserve that for a moment. Yeah. But the parents are there. And the parents are smarter, of course. They're more indoctrinated. They've gone, and after the debriefing, they had information to protect them. And
well versed, as they call it.
Demon, the demon's lair, which is me, of course.
So, anything that steps outside the norm is the
well, they knew not to come into the house.
Yeah.
Because by accepting my welcome into the house, they had entered my reality. So they knew better.
Your realm is complicit.
At least they were informed.
Your realm is complicit. So.
Well, if my reality extends out from me. If you were within that space, you're probably operating within it.
You will be affected by it.
You'll be affected by it. So you'll just probably be operating within it. So
you'll need to adjust to my parameters.
That's like. Well, you won't even know. It'll just happen.
While you'll be automatically adjusted to my parameters.
You'll automatically be adjusted. Yeah. Well, you won't be there. It's pretty simple.
Yeah.
So so they were on the base, but they did stay on the step. They were on the stairs up, but not entering the house. So I brought the tea and all the biscuits. So I went through with the charade. Yeah. I just brought all the tea and biscuits and brought them
to the front door. Yeah.
And out onto the step.
Presenting. That's it.
Yeah, they would step back and I would put them halfway and they would come back up like wild animals.
They're not poison. That's it. Yeah.
No,
I ain't no wicked witch.
And only the father ate, like the mother, and the father was there and the mother was at the bottom of the stairs and the children were, hiding behind, like fearful of the demon, Yeah. And so we talked for quite some time, and at the end of such time, the father was of course like mollified and had realized that I was actually, totally believed what he believed as well. And I wasn't scared of it, nor should he be.
No.
And they were, went away a little befuddled. But the loosening happened and the mother and the children came forth, and well, but we never went.
Once sun worshippers realizing, worship the all rather than the singular. Quite covered in the all rather than the singular.
That's fantastic. And they went away. And then as whatever, a week or two later again, there's a knock at my door. And I open the door and then the father is there. There's a car in the driveway. The mother and the children are in the back seat of the car. Right? There's these two men in black. Yeah. Just have come out of the car. They're just standing at the side of the car at the doors.
Mibs. Good old Mibs.
Yeah. And just like what elders. They're just elders, you know what I'm saying?
Oh,
they were elders. But their skin was interesting. I'm not talking about lizard-like or anything weird.
No,
it was just they were elderly.
Yes.
But
wizened and wise in their ways and their craft.
Wise. They're correct. Their skin glowed of that sort of had resonance to it.
Being in the presence of
tension.
At the presence of an afterglow.
Yes. Yeah. I was aware that they existed. And so the father knocked at the door. And then when I opened the door, he ran down the stairs and then back to the car, but not in it, but sort of stayed like protecting the family who were in the back seat in fear of the demon. Because I'm obviously now entered some kind of
you've entered a new phase.
Demi lord, demon lord, or whatever it was by the stage.
Corruptor.
So the elders would not come up the stairs. So I actually went, of course, because that doesn't even bother me. So I just went down the stairs to them.
Speak up to this one, boy, it corrupts thy program.
And then the two elders stood there. I went down, I stood in front of the car, and they stood there. No words were shared. Of
course not.
They were unnecessary.
Presence.
And the two elders.
Presence means everything.
Correct. So the two of them with their glasses on, all the things, like it was full, mid version. They just did the thing, and I was just like, "Oh yeah, you're doing the thing, are you?"
Yeah.
and then I'm like, "Well, I'm not going to do the thing."
Your Jedi mind tricks do not work here.
And I just sort of like with my version of their version, like I just was like, "Yeah," and I'm not going to do that. Like I won't do my version. It's all good.
I'm here. Sorry.
But, and they were like, "Oh," And then they realized I was no threat.
No,
you know,
we aren't threats to them. They have their
it's all
thing. We
good.
have ours.
Yeah, they're welcome to that. Enjoy. Continue forth as you wish. Multiply.
Continue looking after your faithful and discreet slaves.
Yeah, that's a thing. You know, it's all good. I was just playing. You know, happy days. And that was it. We just the look, the long look, complete stillness was had. Yep. No words were shared. No words from the father or anything. They got back in the car and I saw them adieu, and they never returned. But that was such an interesting experience, man. Like particularly those there meeting those elders and the whole interaction, and just fully no words, but all words. Like the all knowings were had. Like the conversation was fully had between all three, those two old men and I, and all those wizened men and I.
The wizened.
And we realized that all was going to be just happy days. And good times.
Seek thy was it golden path? Seek thy golden path elsewhere.
Fully experienced.
That's
totally. Yeah, do your thing. Not around here, bro.
Yeah.
Well, I didn't do that with them. They were, I wasn't even that. It was just.
And the courtesy is to mark me with an X on my little piece of paper when they come to lay their eyes upon me once again in witnessing.
And then remember. Yeah. I guess I also know it's all good.
We tolerate you.
Well, I mean.
You have your version of the story, and we have ours.
You get into cult busting, which I have done, and then you realize that it's not just the leader; the followers are actually they're following, like they're fully actively doing that thing. It's a thing. Well, no, it's a thing. No, but fearful suggests like sort of like some externalized thing, and you're like haven't got a choice. Like it's natural. Where it's like intentional fearfulness. They're following. Like there are followers. Like you can be as much of a leader as you want, but if there are no followers, you got nothing.
Yeah,
followers are it's a
army of one.
Followers are. That's a whole role to play.
Yeah,
true. People get right into it.
Well, even that book you read, Si, where you had the main players and they had all these subservient lives that were. If they needed to, they could just shoot the psychic attack off to that particular thing, and it would then drop dead from the psychic attack, and they would be saved by it. You know what I mean?
What was the game? What's the game called? It's in Culture. It's on the Ring World. It's been destroyed. Was it called Disaster?
Disaster.
Something like that. Damage.
That was it, because you had to allocate the damage. It was like a card game where you allocated the damage off to the minion. The minion received the damage.
It's like, it's exciting. Oh my gosh, man. Yeah.
Once you see for what it is, like it's not like it's a problem. You're here to enjoy, okay? And if your enjoyment is being subservient to somebody else, then fair enough. That's your enjoyment.
But I don't know. Enjoyment is not a requirement. Like it's a lot more work to not enjoy. Like the amount of effort you have to put into hate everything is way more than enjoy everything. And some people they're just not lazy. They're just so dedicated. They just work out every day. Spend all their energy on complete loathing and hate. And I mean, I look at them with full respect. It's just like,
well, I mean,
thank you.
They got to get fed their leash, haven't they?
Well, if they weren't
something's milking that
leash.
I
would have to be that. I don't want to be that experience. Fuck it. I'm too lazy.
I like just having my vent and then fucking letting it go and then just going, all right, that's out in the ether now. You can fucking chew on it if you like it. You know, it's a big loose cock. Let it scrape against the fucking dome and cause sparks. Space cock.